request here today. This was a request from a little while back. It was, anxiety and migraine kind of update. I'll just say ramble in the video because I will be rambling. I think it's a little more fitting to do it now than if I had done it back then because the anxiety's been picking up in places recently, and my migraines. I've gotten a few migraines in the past 2 weeks, and I was doing pretty decent on that front. I'm getting a few weird headaches as well, kind of spacey ones that like a kind of a dull kind of pain, and it's kind of like I feel a little spacey. I've not puked from a migraine in a bit, which is nice. I've talked about that, and I've done anxiety-related videos on this channel before. I'm always, I'll say happy to talk about it, but I don't mind sharing. If I'm going through some rough patches or whatever, I don't have an issue sharing. Yet it's a little kind of therapeutic in a way to chat about it on camera. But you can see there we cleaned out some of the bookshelf. We gave a bunch of books to the library in West Islip. They take books, so we took them there. But anyway, I'll start with the headaches. I've been talking about it a little bit for a minute here. I typically will puke from my migraines if they're bad enough. That's been a while. I haven't done that since I think October. I think it was right as I was getting past the COVID. I got a rough headache. That was not a symptom, I know. But I puked 5 times during the night. It was terrible. This thing would not go away either. Sometimes that happens. That's happened in the past too, where usually if I puke, I always sit here and say I'm giving it what it wants. I puke and then it kind of fades, but there's been times over the years where it does not. It kind of sucks, and I will get migraines back to back. If I have a bad one, I'm like, this thing will go away, and it will usually come back within 12 hours. I don't know if the headaches and the anxiety, go hand in hand or not, in terms of if I start getting them around the same time, because I'll get migraines. I can't make heads or tails of my migraine patterns, to be honest with you. Sometimes I'm like, is it food intake? Certain foods, or what's in the food, or is it too much soda, then I'm not drinking soda, and then it doesn't matter if I'm drinking it or not, I'll get them. Sometimes the caffeine helps. But sometimes if the cat sleeps between our heads, I'll wake up with a bad headache because I'm breathing in her dander. But other than that, they've just been kind of coming back. It hasn't been bad. I've had points in over the years. I'm going back. My first migraine, I think, was in I want to say it was 12th grade, where I remember I had a terrible one. And this is the first time I ever really experienced a headache this bad. And I was freaking out. I remember it was in 12th grade. It was around the start of March Madness. And it's funny, actually, you know what, maybe they do kind of go hand in hand, because I've had panic issues before I started getting migraines. I was always bad. I remember, I've talked about this in the past. I stopped going to school in 8th grade and then went back, and then I stopped again in 9th, went to live with my dad, went to Valley Stream North for a little bit, stopped going there, and then I went through a bunch of tests and talked to shrinks and stuff. Which I still have those. My aunt found those. She's cleaning out the house before she moved. She's like, oh, I found these things, and she gave them to me. I opened up the file. She didn't look at them or anything. And it was like my evaluation when I saw the psychiatrist in 9th grade. And at the time, I would have been living with my mom and grandma, and possibly my great-grandma was at the time at the house at the time. I don't know. She was definitely there in 95 when I was in 10th grade. I don't know if she got there in 95 or she was there in 94. She lived with us for like 3 years. But she like broke her hip at like age, God, like 93. So they couldn't operate or anything. She had to go into a home. So she died when she's 98. But it was funny, like I was reading the thing and it was like saying all this stuff, and it was pretty much just, the conclusion was I was the way I was because I lived with women. I thought that was, I was like, what? Like I was like real, don't try to get too deep on this, you know? I laughed. I was like, what? I was like, that makes no sense. And I didn't even remember that from the time. Unless I just didn't read those notes at the time. I remember, like, it was like, you know, it was pointing out, I like, don't make eye contact. I'm staring at the floor a lot. Like, I've never liked eye contact at all. It makes me super uncomfortable. But I was kind of like half laughing, half kind of annoyed, because I was like, that's not true. Because I guess they're like trying to like do like saying like I was manipulative. I hate that word, manipulative. Which also didn't make sense, because if I was manipulating them, wouldn't I be the one who had the power? Like, because they never manipulated me at all. Which I never understood that, because I wasn't, like, literally when it came to school, like, I would get to a point where it was like I could literally know every single person in the school, and I'd still be like paranoid and weird, and I wouldn't like people around me and stuff like that. It got to a point when I was in, I think it was in 9th when this happened. Because up until like elementary school was fine, 7th grade was fine. It started like halfway through 8th grade. It just like started. But like I remember just like my mom like, so you gotta go to school. I was like flipping. I'm like, I can't go. God, I was like, oh God, like I was freaking out. But anyway, it's funny because in terms, I didn't get panic attacks back then. I'd have anxiety. The panic attacks weren't there. I remember in 12th grade, I started to feel weird in the second half of 97. 96, 97 was 12th grade. And I started to feel weird, and then all of a sudden I started getting panicky and not feeling right. And then I remember I had that brutal migraine. I remember like walking around the block, like I thought, like the back of my head especially was hurting so bad. And then I got home and I was like flipping out. I told my grandma, I was like, I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. Like my head feels like it's gonna explode. And I remember her talking to my mom, because my mom would have been working. Actually, was she? She usually worked over. She was a cop. She usually worked the overnights, but she wasn't home at the time. I don't know why, because that would have been during the day. But she's like, I'm gonna have to like call an ambulance. She's like, I don't know if you had an aneurysm or something. That didn't happen. I kind of just relaxed on the couch, and then I think I was watching like some of March Madness. Might have been round 1 or 2. And I think I made like some chicken noodle soup, and it kind of went away. But I was like, oh my God, like what the hell was that? And then over time, I started getting them, and I grew used to them in terms of like not flipping out. Well, over the years, I would, like, I remember, I think it was 2008. I got such a bad one. I ended up going to the ER, which was stupid because it ended up costing me like $200. But I was like, another time I was just like, oh my God, it was so bad. And I've had my head scanned probably like 4 or 5 times. The only thing they noticed once, and I have this file somewhere, I don't know where actually, it might actually made its way to Florida when I moved, but it was like, my one eye is like oblong shape, like a weird shape or something, and they never really elaborated on that, like what that would do, if that meant anything or whatever. but I'm also, I guess, talking about things I've talked about in prior videos, but maybe some of you have not seen. But I used to get the ghost feeling as well. I remember once I was walking, my friend lived down the block, and I was walking home. I would have been 19 at the time. I was walking home. He literally lived 2 minutes. Walked down the block 2 minutes. And we watched the movie Brain Scan. Justin Furlong, is that his name? Is in it? And this would have been 99. It was like right before I would have turned 20. Maybe a couple months. But actually, this was probably like, this was like winter of 99, so I would have maybe had another 4 or 5 months. And I'm walking home, and all of a sudden I froze. And I literally thought I was gonna like just fall into nothing. I was like, I had like 2 or 3 houses to go, and I was like slowly walking. I wanted to like grab onto something, but there was nothing there because I was on the sidewalk. There was nothing to just grab. Like I wanted there to be railings. And then I got home, and I was like flipping out. Like I would throw. When I got this feeling, I would throw on more clothes to feel like more of a person. I remember beeping the girl I was dating at the time, and I remember I had my own phone line, and I was like looking at the phone. I'm like, call back, please, call back. I need to talk to somebody. Eventually, she did, and that lasted for a while. Not a full on that feeling, but it lingered, like even just there a little bit for a while, and then it kind of just went away, like maybe 3-4 weeks later. But I've gotten that feeling before, and last time I really got it bad was 2010. I went through a real bad rough patch in 2010. The first half of 2010, pretty much literally like February to around my birthday. But that was rough. But in terms of like recently, I would, especially at the train station in the morning, like I don't know why I get so uncomfortable in my mind. Like it's almost like a dread being there, and I'm literally there for like 10 minutes on the platform, but people start getting closer to me, and I'm like, and whatever, that's, like I said, that's me. They're not doing anything out of the ordinary. They're just standing on the train platform. I start like flipping out. I get this weird, like mentally, I'm pretty good even when I have that ghost feeling of keeping it. Like you can probably see on my face, something's wrong, but I'm not like, I hate to say making a scene, but I'm not like, I don't let it take over to the point where someone's like, oh my god, he's going nuts. But I don't know, for some reason, like at the train station, I'm just like, a lot of times just very uncomfortable, even when I'm standing there by myself, because I get there and people wait in their cars until they hear the train horns, and then they come out. I walk to the train station, so I'm usually there. I'm always early because I want to get to my spot that I stand on the platform. But it's just been, I don't know. And the thing is, like, I get a blah feeling there, because speaking of the train, I've gotten depressed in my life, yes, but I don't get, like, severe depression where, like, there's people, they can't even get out of bed. It's so bad. Like, I get a blah feeling where I feel very kind of almost empty and just blah, like, I'm not happy, I'm not sad, I'm, like, almost just existing. But even when I'm, like, in my most depressed kind of state, I'll still get out and take walks. I do things that I'm hoping will cheer me up or just make me feel a little better. I never just lay around. I mean, I lay around sometimes, but never to the point where, like, I can't physically get out of bed. Thankfully, it's never gotten to that point. But I used to do stuff, especially back when I was younger. I would watch the old Broncos playoff games. I used to tape all their playoff games. Super Bowls, pretty much 97 and 98 runs. Because I wouldn't have taped the 96 game because they lost the divisional round of the Jaguars, and that was devastating. But I would watch them pop, and that would focus my mind. It was always a big thing, was focusing things. I would throw in a video game and just try to lose myself in anything I could. Back then I'm sure. But it was bad. But I would do anything to kind of just focus. And I didn't like, I hated going to concerts. Like, there was a lot of, even back when I was in high school, I would bail on a lot of, like, I would buy the ticket and just be like, I can't go. There's a lot of good concerts I missed too. Even like 11th grade, like, this was a problem. The crowd thing was a problem for me with a while. And I know a lot of people have problems with crowds, but I remember I missed that Madison Square Garden Red Hot Chili Peppers show, and I think that was '96. That would have been the Warped Tour, I believe. That was the name of that album, right? It was one with Dave Navarro on guitar. No, it was One Hot Minute was the name of the album. Warped was a song, I think, on the album. One Hot Minute was the name of the album. I missed a Faith No More concert, I believe. At one point, I ended up seeing them, I think, twice, but I missed a concert with them. There's a few other ones. I'd almost want to just be alone or do anything to just be in a more comfortable position. I'd be like, oh man, kind of like I'd buy a ticket and be like, oh, that was probably a mistake. I haven't been to a concert in a while. I got better over time, but I'm actually going to a concert. Me and my friends are going to a concert in March. We're going to see Jerry Cantrell in March. So that should be cool. That's not far away. It's the Paramount. I saw Cantrell back in '98 as well on his first tour, Boggy Depot. He played some Alice in Chains stuff, but now he has 3 albums. He had a new album come out not that long ago. He still plays Alice in Chains stuff, but and I love his for Boggy Depot. I love the second album, Degradation Trip. I didn't like as much. His new album's cool. I can't remember the name of it. My friend plays it at work sometimes, but I like that one. And obviously I like Alice in Chains, so when we saw him the first time, he played, like in terms of Alice in Chains songs, he played, I think Heaven Beside You, Them Bones, What the Hell Have I, which is on the Last Action Hero soundtrack, No Excuses, and I think one other one, I think it was Brother. So that should be good. But yeah, like any of that stuff, like, sporting events as well, I avoided for a while. Just recently, it's picked up. It hasn't been terrible, but I think that blah feeling's come back a little bit. But in terms of I think the winter plays a part in that too. I don't mind the winter, but when the summer comes, I feel like you have a little more pep in your step. It's a little more cheery just naturally. Like a lot of you, I'm sure, know that stuff just starts to sink in, and it takes a grip, and you have to fight through it. And sometimes that can take a while. But there's points where I don't, like, I'll go take a walk and do stuff like that, but there's stuff where I just kind of want to be home. I'll go take a walk and be satisfied with my day and just come home and chill out, Sometimes nice too, because we'll hang out in the backyard, barbecue and stuff, and just sit out there, throw the canopy up or the umbrella, and just hang out. It's always a good time. Play some cornhole. It's been terrible. Like, it's more of a ramble and a slight update. But I had the blah feeling. I was over this summer. I felt like listless and almost lost, like, mentally. Like, feeling great, like, in terms of everything that in my life is good, but I'm just like mentally, like, listless. And that's rough sometimes, because you're like, everything's going well, but I'm not, like, I don't know. It's hard to describe. Thankfully I haven't gotten that ghost feeling, in a while. I have moments, like, I'm able to kind of beat it, because I can grab my focus back and kind of, before it really builds, and it takes over and you're kind of screwed. And maybe them and the migraines do go hand in hand, although there's been times where I've been panicking and stuff and I'll get a migraine and it almost is a good thing because now I'm too focused on my head hurting to care about my panic. It's kind of like they say, like if you, I don't know, you have a headache and all of a sudden you break your leg, your focus is on your broken leg now and you don't even realize you have a headache anymore. I said video games are always a good outlet for that because I pop it in and if I gain that focus, then all of a sudden I'm playing the game and I'm kind of like, you kind of lose yourself. But also, like, sometimes when I know I'm in a weird mindset. I do this normally, but it gets ramped up when I'm not feeling as well. Like, I lose. Like, I'll be, like, watching something on the TV, and all of a sudden I start watching something on YouTube. Like, or I'll be like, all of a sudden something pops in my head. I'm look up starting lineups. Like, a lot of people have that bounce all over the place. Because and another thing with me as well is I'm like, and maybe other people have experienced stuff like this that I've talked about, or your own thing as well. It's a lot of different mental health, right? Mental health, the mind is endless in a way, But I'm extremely self-aware, like I'm always like self-aware, like in almost any situation, like, and I like kind of just like I know, oh my god, I'm starting to have a panic attack. I'm like, don't let anyone know, And I'm like always aware of what I'm doing, and I think people who deal with anxiety are always very. You read into people's reactions, and you make up your own like someone will say something, and you'll completely interpret it the wrong way, right? You'll be like, oh my god, like the cat just came out of the room. I can hear the air machine. You're gonna hear her now. She's coughing. This is the issue I was talking about. She has now. She has a massive lump down here, and it affects a lot of her stuff. Completely healthy otherwise, but it's a concern of ours that I won't get into. But what was I saying? But anybody's like the way someone says something, or the look on their face, you play in your own mind like something, and you're like, oh my god, what am I doing? And sometimes you get paranoid. You think people are looking at you, and you'd almost think, well, that's kind of narcissistic. But no, I'm not thinking it that way. I don't know why I'm thinking like there's something wrong with me. Like, what are they looking? It can be tough. And you think, and everybody knows this. You play the scenarios in your head repeatedly for years. Things will pop up like, I should have did this, or did they really mean that, or why did I take it that way? Why did I say that? And when I hate confrontation, and the times that I do get into it, I'll know. This happened with my fiance's family, and once again, things happen and whatever's said, I'm not going to get into details, but from my perspective, I'm so self-aware the second I start to get annoyed or I'm going to say something, I already know in my mind, this is going to stick with me as I'm even saying it, like, and the good thing is it worked out, like everybody worked things out afterwards, like the next day, which felt great. I was like, all right, we all said our, made up or whatever, and it was like, okay, great, But any kind of confrontation I get in, I'm like playing in my head. I hate it so much. Even if I'm right, I hate it so much. Like I can't, like I just want, and that's not normal life. Normal life is confrontation, but I think I'm gonna stop there because this cat's gonna come in here and start. You're gonna hear like crazy, but now it's just kind of a ramble on it, how I'm feeling now, which isn't terrible, but I think the anxiety has been creeping up a little bit. I think the blah feeling and everything's there, and I think the weather plays a part, and I think I get my own head. People get in their own heads. I'm sure plenty of you get in your own head, and you got to work your way out of that situation and stuff. But, yeah. Thanks for this out. If you want to share anything, you know, any feelings you have or things you felt, feel free to comment, or if you follow me on Instagram, you can always message me on there. But anyway, yeah, thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.